All right, welcome back to Appealing Your Property Taxes in Paulding County. Again, I'm Dave. This video is going to cover how to deal with your appointment with the Board of Equalization. So as I mentioned in the previous video, you should get a letter from the tax assessor's office giving you instructions on how to schedule an appointment with the Board of Equalization. When you've made your appointment with the Board of Equalization, somewhere in that process, you should also get a letter that gives you instructions, tells you a little bit about what to expect, and tells you kind of what you can expect from the Board of Assessors, I guess. When you go in front of the Board of Equalization, you are entitled to get a hold of all of the information that the Board of Assessors used to appraise your property. That's very important. Keep that in mind because you're going to need that information for part of this process of putting together an appeal for the Board of Equalization. So what you're looking at is you're looking at my Board of Equalization presentation. I put it together in PowerPoint. I don't think you need to do anything that fancy. I think as long as you have your information neat, organized, and in a format that's going to be easy for the Board of Equalization members to look at, I think you're good. I use PowerPoint just because it was easy for me. And to be clear, I did not take the PowerPoint with me. I printed it out, stapled it together, and took it with me. I took several copies so all the Board of Equalization members could have a copy to look at. And I also took a copy for the appraiser that was attending the hearing from the Board of Assessors. So the first thing that I did was I put together a set of comps, comp meaning comparable properties to my own. You should also get from the Board of Assessors their list of comps that they used to appraise your property. More on that later. So what I did for my the comps that I used 3 of the properties that I used to file my appeal paperwork, the initial appeal, and then I added 2 more. And again, when I was looking for comparable properties, I looked for properties that were similar to mine in size, in construction, same number of bedrooms, square footage, and acreage. There is a form that you can download from the internet, and you're looking at it right now, that was put together by some attorney who actually does these appeals for a living. They're located here in Atlanta. It's a good sheet. I think it was the Halleck Law Firm. I will post a link to both their page and this form in the description for this video. But anyway, once you get that form, it's an Excel sheet downloaded. You can either print it out or, fill it out on your computer. I filled it out on my computer. Obviously, I wanted it to be nice, neat, and readable. And you just go through and fill out the blanks. All these down here will be blank, and you can just fill those in with information off of the tax assessment paperwork. And then I took pictures, posted the vital information for each one of these. So this is my home right here. And then the first comp that I used is right here. Now, I put the vital information here, and then I guess later on is where I do. Okay, yeah, sorry. So anyway, picture, vital information, just to make it neat and give them a visual. Because the folks that sit on the Board of Equalization, they're, regular taxpayers just like us. And then I use the county provided comps. This is the form that I was sent. And so they have, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. They have 5 different homes here, which is why I used 5 comps myself. It's basically the same form. It's a little different in format, but, whatever. So then what I did was I looked up the addresses from those comps, and I plugged those addresses into Zillow or Realtor.com um, any of the real estate websites out there that you can use to go home shopping. And I just kind of picked and pulled features that were either better than my home or made that home more attractive. Any reason why somebody would have paid or somebody would pay more money for that home. So, my home has 3 bedrooms and 2 baths. This property here that the county provided as a comp has 5 beds and 3 baths. That's available on Zillow. Has more livable square feet, has upgraded counters, yada, yada. And so for all those extra features, and that home still sold for less than my house. And so I pointed that out in my presentation. Same thing here. This home is on a corner lot, which is often more attractive to buyers. It's got more fancy detailing on the outside. It's got this nice stacked stone facade here. The rear deck is completely enclosed and screened in. It's got an open floor plan. All of those things people, pay more for during the buying process. And yet they had this home appraised at lower cost than mine. Here's another one. So this one has a nice rocking chair front porch. I've got just a little porch that you can barely step out on. The kitchen is ceramic tiled throughout. Again, those are things that people pay for in the home buying process that my home doesn't have, and yet this home sold for lower value than what they have my home appraised. Here's another one. I'm not going to go through all these, but you're looking for features that would make that home more attractive to a buyer, that would make a buyer pay more for that home that your home doesn't have on these homes that are appraised for less than yours. And then I took a picture of my house, showing that most of the stuff in the house was still, builder grade, crummy builder grade carpets, crummy linoleum. It's a little messy because we had just gotten home from a trip when I took these pictures, but so you just set up a comparison. And then what I did was I took sale prices and I kind of averaged the sale price from my neighborhood, compared it with some of these other neighborhoods. And so, they had my home appraised at, I think for that year it was $244, but the average sale price for the previous year in my neighborhood was $220. Well, the average was $216. The median sale price in my neighborhood was $220. So, basically you're doing your best to make an intelligent, competent argument as to why they're wrong and why you're right. Again, we covered this in the last video, but it's important that you don't make any sort of emotional appeals during your presentation in front of the Board of Equalization. Don't say, I've lived in this county for 30 years and y'all are taxing us to death and I'm going to live here for the rest of I'll die in this house. Why are y'all doing this? And Republicans, Democrats, blah, blah, blah. None of that. Stick to the facts. You don't want to annoy the Board of Equalization. If you annoy them, they're going to send you out the door with nothing. If you can make a fact-based argument, whether or not they agree with you, you're going to walk away with something. If they agree with you, you may actually get your assessment lowered. I got mine lowered by a measly $4,000, which was way short of what I was hoping for. If they don't agree with you, they can and probably will, as long as you've made a competent argument. If they don't agree with you, they can freeze your assessment for 3 years, meaning you will not have an increase in your property appraisal value for 3 years. If your taxes are going up $400, $800 a year, you think about that over the course of 3 years, that's anywhere from $1,200 to $2,400. It's no small change. So this was the presentation that I put together. I just printed it out, stapled it together, had a copy for the tax assessor and every member of the Board of Equalization, just kind of passed that out. And I just kind of walked them through it. I pointed out all the reasons why I thought that the county comps were out of line with what they assessed my house at. All these homes have nicer features than mine, but these homes are all appraised at a lower value than mine. And so when you walk in, I think the tax assessor opens, or maybe they give you the choice. I can't remember. I think they give you a choice as to who opens, and I let the tax assessor go first. He talked for about 5 minutes, and then it was my turn. I think by the time I finished saying everything I had to say, I think it was probably 5 to 10 minutes. Don't be too long-winded. Excuse me. After that, they'll kind of confer amongst themselves. And then after that, they'll give you a decision on the spot. And they'll probably give you some good information too. It was definitely a learning process. I recommend it. It's a good way to learn about your community. But they'll give you a decision on the spot. Once they render that decision, they are not allowed, according to the rules and regs set up by, I don't know if it's the county or state, federal, constitution. I don't know who set the rules up. But once they render that decision, they cannot talk to you. It's not that they're being rude. It's not that they're mad at you. It's not that they are jerks. They're just not allowed to according to the rules set for them by whomever. So, once you're done, you're done. You pack your stuff up. Thank you very much. Always pays to be polite. When I walked in, I, introduced myself. Big smile. I was mad because I was mad about my taxes, but I had a big smile. Hi, how y'all doing? You kind of get to do your best to figure out who the foreperson for the board is and address most of your comments to them as you're walking them through your presentation. But just be polite. And then once it's over, hey, thank you very much. I learned a lot. I appreciate your time. I don't believe they get paid for that. So, and if they do, it's not much. I can't remember. I did the research, a year ago and I've already forgotten. But, they're doing a service to people. So even if you don't like them, even if you disagree with them, thank you very much. Appreciate your time. And that's it. One thing they did tell me, I think it was the foreperson said, some people come in here and, they start going off or, they just basically talk about how they lived in Paulding County their whole lives. And those people don't get anything. You walked in, you did your homework, you weren't right, but we're going to give you a rate freeze for 3 years. So that's what I got to say. Thank you.